It's Press Pass with Jack Ebling, Mid-Michigan's spirited sports debate. Now let's get talking sports. Here's Jack.
Great evening, Mid-Michigan and beyond, and welcome to Press Pass here on Fox 47. It's time to meet Team 254. Darian Harris, 5-year MSU linebacker, co-captain of the 2015 Big Ten champions, graduate student, aspiring broadcaster, youth coach, future athletic director. What else do we have to add tonight?
Got to add brand ambassador to that. It's pretty ironic to be on the panel today with Desmond. Want to thank Desmond for adding me onto the Moneyball team as a brand ambassador. Want to remind everybody to use code MBDarian when they're checking out and ordering the great gear and get 10% off their order. So definitely excited to be a part of the Moneyball brand, great brand around here in Lansing. We're going to talk about a little bit of about the Pro-Am that's hosted every single year at AIM High. It was a great finish to it again this year. I mean, they packed the house at that thing, and it's amazing that that's free clinic, all those things that Des does in the area is pretty phenomenal. So I'm definitely glad to be a part of the team.
One of the best looking guys in Mid-Michigan wearing the sharpest gear. That's a deadly combination. Want to welcome Desmond Ferguson, and he is a Lansing native, a college and pro hooper. He's a very successful coach at Lansing Everett, entrepreneur, and the founder of the Moneyball Pro-Am Summer League. You believe it's been 15 years?
And time go by fast, but as always, before we get going, got to do my official announcement. Moneyball is in the building.
There we go. Now we can begin, right?
Now we can go.
Okay. You got another year in the books. You had your golf outing, and we're going to talk a lot about a very exciting Moneyball competition and Aaron Henry and company and Team Definition winning the championship.
Yep. They topped the run of Team Black, Team Splatter.
Also want to welcome Doug Warren. Doug is Director of Sports Programming for Spotlight Productions. He's a producer of The Drive with Jack and Tom, the Team 92.1 FM, weekday afternoons from 3 to 6. He's our Detroit Lions and NFL historian. We won't be here next week, Doug. We'll be on the way to Chicago.
That's right. And looking forward to that. Kickoff of the NFL season started last Thursday with the Bears and the Ravens in Canton, Ohio, and I'm looking forward to football season, not only professional but college as well.
If you are a diehard baseball fan, this might not be your favorite show, because we're going to talk a ton of football, and Doug, we got Darian, we got Desmond, we got to talk basketball.
Absolutely.
Too, so that'll be plenty.
Yep.
We've got the situation at Ohio State with Urban Meyer. I'm hearing so many different situations, solutions. People have all sorts of ideas how that's going to play out. We're going to talk about Urban Meyer, what happened a couple weeks ago in Chicago, and before that, with former receivers coach Zach Smith. We'll be right back with that and much, much more to come here on Press Pass on Fox 47.
Bill Schuette is off duty. Schuette's paid over $100,000 a year by taxpayers, but Schuette barely worked 100 full days in nearly 8 years, less than one full day every 3 weeks. When he was at work, Schuette hired political cronies, using government staff to make secret financial deals, and now the FBI is involved. Bill Schuette, off duty. Brian Calley has been on the job, bringing Michigan back. Continue the comeback. Brian Calley for governor.
Okay, people, nothing to eat here. Now move along.
Let's roll.
This one's yours, Ralphie.
Release the hounds!
Take the taser out of your pants.
Freeze! How about a little Marge Madness?
My buddy.
Ay, caramba!
Get behind the yellow line. Watch The Simpsons.
Weeknights at 11 on Fox 47.
What's really important to me is being able to have a partner, and Dart Bank has been that for me. I'm Eric Nelson. I'm a managing partner here at the English Inn. I've worked with John Morris at Dart Bank to help put together multiple projects that have assisted us with growing our business and continuing to be successful.
Team spirit, face paint, more cowbell. Dean Trailways Motor Coach takes care of your travel, so you can support your favorite Spartan teams and focus on the important things. Dean Trailways, your favorite ride.
Welcome back to Press Pass here on Fox 47. It's time for The Big Picture, brought to you by Dean Trailways. With trips for every season, Dean takes care of the details so you can enjoy the experience, including daily casino runs and great getaways to Northern Michigan and Chicago, where Doug and I will be headed next Sunday for the NFL Legends Classic. That's Dean Trailways, your favorite ride.
Well, I am going to address the 2009 because I've been asked about that. 2009, Zach was an intern, a very young couple. As I do any time that I imagine most coaches or people in leadership positions, you receive a phone call, first thing you do is tell your boss, let the experts do their jobs. We're certainly not going to investigate. It came back to me that what was reported wasn't actually what happened, and so Shelley and I actually both got involved because of our relationship with that family and advised for counseling and wanted to help as we move forward. 2015, I got a text late last night that something happened in 2015, and there was nothing, unless, once again, there's nothing, once again, I don't know who creates a story like that.
That is Urban Meyer in Chicago, Big Ten football media days. Doug Warren, you were there. Urban Meyer a few feet away. You obviously have strong feelings about his character going back to the University of Florida. What should he have done, and are you surprised that he dealt in deception?
Well, what he should have done is gotten rid of Zach Smith back when they were at Florida. I just, of course, he's the grandson of Earl Bruce, so there's a relationship there. But to hang on to a receivers coach and jeopardize your own career, it was just unfortunate and stupid, quite frankly. I think Urban Meyer is the Rick Pitino of college football. He has no character at all, and it's shown again in the last couple of weeks. As far as what should happen moving forward, I don't see how the guy keeps his job, Jack. I just don't.
A lot of people, Darian, are saying that he might have a suspension. He might not. Maybe Gene Smith, the director of athletics, is in more trouble than Urban Meyer if he indeed did report it to the proper authorities. If in 2015 he did that and then there were no legal proceedings to follow, maybe he believed Zach Smith. Do you fault Urban Meyer for his handling of this, besides lying to the media in Chicago?
Yeah, I do, just because exactly, I agree with Doug. I mean, I think he should have been fired back in 2009. I mean, I know it's a tricky subject because you don't want to criminalize somebody that hasn't done anything, but it looks like there's a history of domestic violence. Now, with the reporting by Brett McMurphy, you see the text messages and things that happened on their vacations and things of that nature that show that domestic violence did transpire. And for Zach Smith to get on ESPN and seemingly blatantly lie to Dan Murphy was interesting as well. And it just seems like Urban's in a situation where, as Doug said, I don't see how he keeps his job after this. It just seemed like he protected a guy that probably wasn't worth necessarily protecting in terms of the pedigree of your job and your position at the school that you're at. So it's a shame, definitely feel for Courtney Smith and her kids and what they have to go through. It's just a shame, just another situation where I'm not understanding why people in power protect those that do wrong, especially when it comes to women and children.
Is it possible, Desmond, that we've heard one side of this, that there might be another side? Don't mean in any way to have victim shaming or to take the side of Zach Smith, but do we need to wait and let this investigation play out?
Probably not. First of all, the history of it, and Urban Meyer should have been truthful when those questions were asked, from the jump, because you always got to keep the program first and foremost. Even being a high school coach, I had a situation not as big as this, but a dear friend of mine who was a coach, but I had to let him go because of some things that happened because it's about the program, it's about the kids, it's about positivity and being a leader of a university, of a institution, a high school, wherever the case may be. You have to make the right decisions at all times, and I think this one will come back and bite them in the butt.
Darian, Urban Meyer is the highest paid public employee in the state of Ohio. His record is incredible. Never lost more than 2 games in a year. He's lost 3 Big Ten games in 6 seasons. Counting the playoff game, you're responsible for half of his Big Ten losses. But if you look at that, is it possible that he will get some favorable treatment that others would not?
I think originally you might think so, but I think that it being 2018 in this day and age, the amount of things that are going on in our country in terms of, you know, the mistreatment of women and children and things of that nature, I don't think he's going to get any pass in this situation. I think the backlash, especially with social media and things of that nature, would be far too dire on Ohio State to take a chance in keeping him around if it is indeed everything is found and held true that he did know back in 2015 and obviously knew something was going on in 2009. So I don't think even somebody like Urban Meyer is above the law here.
Administrative leave. Is that another word for a paid vacation?
Yeah.
It seems like right now he's still going to be collecting, and Ohio State owes him $38 million. Desmond, I'm hearing today that maybe there's some negotiation underway that he'll get a settlement for 18 to 20 million bucks, and they'll move on without him.
I mean, he's winning even if he loses. I mean, at this point, you know, you can't. I mean, it's crazy.
The thing to keep in mind is that Ohio State is bigger than any coach. They're bigger than Woody Hayes, bigger than Earl Bruce.
They did have Woody Hayes. They did have Jim Tressel. Now Urban Meyer. We'll be right back with more.
Anyone who's had our chicken knows it's plump and juicy. What they may not know is that it's also 100% natural.
All our chickens are certified, humanely raised, no antibiotics, on a high-quality diet of soy and grain.
Why are they called tenders?
They're called tenders because they come from the tenderloin of the breast, hand-trimmed just for colors. It's not a strip or a finger, it is the true tenderloin.
I'll put our chicken tenders up against anybody's.
That's like my Granny Franklin used to make. That's outstanding, Craig.
Welcome to Delicious.
The Knapp Center is a historical hub for future business growth in beautiful downtown Lansing.
The Ide Company did the best they could to preserve the integrity of the history of this building while incorporating a modern open workspace.
They have been prompt, they have been efficient, and they really are a friendly, great group of people that we don't have any concerns about calling them for any of our needs.
Opportunities for retail, office, restaurant, and residential. Build the future as a member of the Ide Company family.
There's nothing like a road trip for making memories with family and friends. And we want to help you make those memories with a new Graf Chevrolet. During the Graf Road Trip Sales Event, you'll save thousands of dollars on a Chevy car or truck of your choice.
Right now, Graf Okemos will give you $2,000 more than the appraised value of your trade. Get a new Silverado, only $143 a month, or a new Malibu at Graf Okemos, just $138 a month.
Start your summer adventure in a new Graf Chevrolet during Graf's Road Trip Sales Event at a Graf dealership near you.
The only game is the one you're playing.
In a world in need of integrity, Fox 47 presents a team of superheroes that will rule your daytime. The League of Justice, bringing truth, compassion, humor to a city yearning for fairness, led by the masked crusader Judge Milian.
What business do you have having a minor who's 16 go with you instead of her parents? You're a grown man.
People's Court puts naughty people in their place.
Up until this point, had you heard anything about you having a daughter?
Then, Paternity Court saves the day by finding out who is your daddy.
I'll dismiss your case and throw you out. Got it?
The Mighty Mathis.
You're lucky they didn't file charges against you, because quite frankly, if I were the deputy DA in the case, I would have filed a hate crime against you and I would have sought state prison.
And the sizzling New York hot bench blazed the trail for the Queen of the Court, Judge Judy.
Because you were being paid in cash that you weren't reporting.
The League of Justice rules weekdays on Fox 47.
Welcome back to Press Pass here on Fox 47. It's time for our Lansing's Best segment, brought to you by the Greater Lansing Sports Authority. Bring thousands of athletes and teams to Mid-Michigan for dozens of tournaments and special events. Hats off to the GLSA for showing just what this area can be. The Moneyball Pro-Am Summer League. Here you see Kenny Goins and Xavier Tillman. There's a man of the hour, Aaron Henry. And that was a tremendous game, double overtime game. There's Colin Jones going in for a basket. Big fella could still get to the hole. A lot of familiar names and faces. And Desmond Ferguson in a decade and a half of Moneyball matchups. Can you remember a better performance than the second half that Aaron Henry had Thursday night, or maybe a more surprising finish than the one with Team Blue down by 8 points at the half, losing Kenny Goins, and they come back to outscore favored Team Black by 22 in the second half. That's after they'd already played a play-in game.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we talked about it before, you know, with Derek Nelson scoring 71 for the record, and that was in the playoff, but we haven't had a situation in the championship game, being the underdog, which everybody kind of thought Team Splatter was going to win, for them to, for definition, to be down at, like you said, at the half by 8 and come back and win by 14, led by Aaron Henry. That was very impressive. So I can't really think of a better performance in a championship game that we've had at the Moneyball Pro-Am.
Doug, we had Aaron Henry on the Drive with Jack and Tom Friday, and I want to check his birth certificate because I think he's really, you know, it's like when you talk to Darian the first time. You think, well, they got this 25-year-old guy out here playing. So that's kind of what we got, and Tom Izzo's going to be very happy to have him. He needed Gary Harris to lobby for him before he just said, okay, we're going to take him. Mm-hmm. Turned out pretty well. When you think about some of the other players whose games really picked up, they showed something, they learned something. Nick Ward working away from the basket. You had a stronger Cassius Winston. I think Gabe Brown opened a lot of eyes. Who impressed you?
You know, Tillman, the amount of shape that he was in, great shape, ran the floor well, showed some touch as well, obviously. Nick Ward, ball handling, and I mean, sort of like, not to the extent as Adrian Payne when he was shooting threes in the Pro-Am, and then it translated to the season by the same year, but just showing different aspects of the game. But Aaron Henry by far was the most impressive, and I think the most ready freshman to step out there and play from day one. And I didn't really know much about him coming into the Pro-Am.
Right.
But he, you know, I think he'll be a pretty good defender. He can put the ball on the floor, he can shoot, he's athletic. He has the mind state, he's aggressive, and he accepts competition, and so I think he's the most ready. But Gary Brown was real impressive as well, so I think it bodes well for the MSU team this year.
Darian, that Moneyball offense usually dominates, and defense sometimes is an afterthought, not in championship game, but there was a block shot that Aaron Henry had in the game, and everyone just went, where did that come from? It was like when Kay Felder went up and got that one up at the top of the square. Mm-hmm. And you wonder how much of this could translate being a freshman for Tom Izzo.
Well, you know, I think that you have to take it sometimes with a grain of salt, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I mean, I think, like as Des touched on, we're not going to see necessarily Nick Ward popping out and shooting threes unless he wants a seat on the bench, I think.
Right.
You know, he's famous for saying he's got the best three-point percentage in the Izzo era at 100%. But I think that when you go to a championship game, when you get to the playoffs, especially in something like Moneyball, and you see which guys really want it, which guys really care about winning, about competing, that's where it can translate. I think we saw a guy in Aaron Henry that wants to compete, that loves to compete, and he willed his team to win. Stuff like that translates, because that's a mindset, that's a mentality, and it doesn't matter whether you're playing against Michigan and the Braves or playing, you know, a game of chess or checkers against your family. If you have that mindset to compete, that can always translate.
He could have had another 20 points if he was only thinking about scoring, but he kept throwing these passes. And that was the thing that I think caught a lot of people's attention. So. When you think about the first decade and a half of Moneyball, think back to when you started this, Des. Going through a lot of locations, could you ever have envisioned it become what it is?
That was the plan. That's what I hoped, but I didn't know if we were ever going to get there. And, you know, last few years has been what I envisioned when we started this thing 15 years ago.
It is indeed a summer staple in mid-Michigan. And a lot of people already saying, hey, Moneyball 2019, can't wait. We'll be right back with a Going Green segment talking MSU football up next.
If you want to be successful at anything, it takes a whole lot of practice. Leading a state is no different. I'm Brian Calley. I've spent nearly 8 years working side by side with Governor Snyder to renew Michigan with conservative reforms. We have record job growth, stunningly low unemployment, and our economy is growing faster than nearly any other state. I'm the only candidate who isn't just talk. I've done it. Let's continue the comeback.
Brian Calley for governor. Introducing the 2018 Fox 47 race team, featuring late model driver John Ward Jr. and proud car sponsors Holt and Diamond-Dale Insurance Agency. Call your hometown team today. Larry's RV, where lifetime memories begin. Greater Michigan Construction Academy, the other 4-year degree. And Henry Ford Allegiance Hills. Cheer on the entire Fox 47 race team every Friday night at Corrigan Oil Speedway in Mason.
Every night is family night. Last man standing.
Weeknights at 6:30 on Fox 47.
Team spirit. Face paint. More cowbell. Dean Trailways Motor Coach takes care of your travel, so you can support your favorite Spartan teams and focus on the important things. Dean Trailways, your favorite ride.
It's another fall Friday night, and your kids should be
playing high school football.
It's a fun game, and it's safer than ever.
It's safe because the rules, the coaching, and the equipment are better than ever before.
As a result, serious injuries are at an all-time low. Seriously.
And builds
strong schools, lifetime memories, and tomorrow's community leaders.
And it's mother approved.
It's a great game, and we want to teach it to your kids.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, we have a taste for adventure, because the only way to know how good something can be is to go for it. Try our veggie smoothies, Island Green, made with spinach, kale, pineapple, banana, and mango. And Caribbean Sea Burst with carrots, mango, banana, orange, and goji. Adventure begins with never knowing until you try, but always expecting something great. Go for a veggie smoothie at Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Eat better, feel better.
Welcome back to Press Pass here on Fox 47. Time for our Going Green segment, brought to you by Graf Chevrolet, a trusted friend with 104 years in the automobile business. Stop and see Matt, Mark, and Greg on West Grand River in Okemos. They'll take great care of you, as they have on all 6 of my leases and purchases. Go green, go Graf.
First day, you know, I think it's the 12th year now doing this. I think everybody in America has a lot of optimism on the first day. There's a lot of, short practice. Everybody's ready to go. Can we sustain? That's the big question you ask yourself as you go through it. But we've got depth. I think we have some very good skill players as well to go along with that. Right now there's a lot of retention. There always has been on the first day from our older players, but when you have 41 of the top 44 players back on 1 and 2D and 1 and 2 offense, there's going to be a lot of retention.
Mark D'Antonio, he has 11 years in the books and 100 victories at Michigan State. Darian, what is the biggest objective, besides staying healthy, for Michigan State football between now and the opener against Utah State in 26 nights?
I think it's important for them to be focused on the goal at hand, and that's to be Big Ten champions and get back to the college football playoffs. And I think some people may look at that and say, well, you don't want to overlook opponents, but I don't necessarily think that's doing that. I was watching a video of their practice, and the last couple seconds was them breaking it down as a team, and they broke it down to Big Ten champs. And I remember doing that, in 2015. I remember breaking it down as Rose Bowl champs in 2013, and we see what happened that year. So sometimes you got to speak things into existence. You got to believe as a team that you're going to make it to Indianapolis, that you are setting yourselves up to do that. And when you're breaking it down as a team and saying Big Ten champs, saying Rose Bowl champs, and putting that idea in everybody's heads and everybody's minds, that's how you get to that goal. So I think that's definitely the most important.
As an elected leader 3 years ago, can you believe that Mark D'Antonio would actually have 4 captains? He's held to the 3. Now there's some talk it might be 4. And what does heave mean as a team motto?
He might go with 4. I mean, you kind of never know what Coach D'Antonio is going to do. I wouldn't expect it. I was surprised last year with the 2, but obviously it worked out. And I think that he went with the 2 because, Chris and Brian were overwhelming favorites in the voting to be captains. And the last, the third guy was not necessarily, there wasn't enough distinction to elect just the third guy. So I thought the 2 worked. 4, now you're all of a sudden I think you're straying a little bit away from what you usually do. And the mantra heave, I love it. I think that there's something different every year, and they work. You know, I remember Chase it. I remember You Will Be the Ones, and that was going into the Rose Bowl. This heave mantra that Andrew Dow kind of brought to the forefront with the tug of war, I think it makes sense. You know, we're known for doing something called moving the rock at practice, where you flip that rock over, and that's kind of like tug of war, and that's a situation where everybody's got to be pulling in the same direction. Everybody in Michigan State is going to have to pull in the same direction if they want to get past Ohio State, Penn State, and Michigan and make it to Indianapolis. So I think it's a good mantra for this year.
Desmond, you've seen a lot of players come through Mid-Michigan. What does it mean that three brothers, the Dowells, Andrew, David, and Michael, are on the same team, numbers 5, 6, and 7?
I think it really means that their parents are great planners. If you want to break it down, they didn't have much to do with that.
They don't have to go to different places, so they don't have to divide and conquer, right?
No, the Ball family has nothing on them.
Doug, with the Spartans ranked anywhere from 5th to 15th in all of these preseason polls, take a look at the schedule. Which one game do you think is the most important, and which projected win is the most precarious matchup?
Well, the most important game every year is the game against Michigan, and that's October 20th. If they take care of business there, then that sets up everything else.
Right.
That's what rides. But I think the most precarious game is the one on November 17th at Nebraska. Now, Scott Frost in his first year, people are thinking that there's going to be some lumps. He's going to be rebuilding that Nebraska program. But I think at that point of the season, if Frost does what he's done every place else he's ever been, I think Nebraska will be a formidable opponent. And Michigan State's had problems at Nebraska historically.
Yeah.
So that could be the game. And the other one early in the year is at Arizona State. But I would go with Nebraska as being the most precarious game, being late in the season when they could be in the stakes for a Big Ten championship.
They're in Michigan State 8-2 in a decade against Michigan for the first time. That never happened even in the days when Michigan State was winning national championships. Why is it the Nebraska game is always so perilous? One victory in history for Michigan State and Lincoln.
Well, I mean, I can definitely attest to playing there and how difficult it is to play in Lincoln, Nebraska. It's definitely, to me, the most difficult away stadium to play in. The fans there are remarkable. They had 400-plus straight sellouts. Now the fans, they treat you as nice as possible, which is weird. Also, it kind of throws you off a little bit. And there's something about playing, Nebraska playing at home, playing in front of that black shirts, the defense and the the Skull and Bones crowd they have, their student section. So there's something special about playing in Nebraska. But it's definitely one of those historic stadiums that you want to play in, and you should be hyped up to play in. And I think the team will be that, especially coming off that loss in 2015. Coach D will have them ready.
Michigan State, the most production returning in the nation on offense and defense from last year. Highest percentage of rushing yards, passing yards, receiving yards. A little bit different from a year ago when no one had caught a pass coming back for the season. We have Michigan State Football Media Day tomorrow. We'll be out there for the Drive with Jack and Tom from Spartan Stadium, and we'll be right back in a moment on Press Pass.
Hello, my name is Dr. John Braccio, psychologist. If you or your child have problems with focus, inattention, sitting still, memory, concentration, these are traits of ADHD. Visit us at drjohnb.com.
There's nothing like a road trip for making memories with family and friends.
And we want to help you make those memories with a new Graf Chevrolet. During the Graf Road Trip Sales Event, you'll save thousands of dollars
on a Chevy car or truck of your choice.
Right now, Graf Okemos will give you $2,000 more than the appraised value of your trade. Get a new Silverado, only $143 a month, or a new Malibu at Graf Okemos, just $138 a month.
Start your summer adventure in a new Graf Chevrolet
during Graf's Road Trip Sales Event
at a Graf dealership near you.
The student bookstores are Green and White Shop headquarters. Outfit your entire family with Spartan gear. We have a large selection of men's, women's, and children's clothing. Show off your Michigan State pride with new shoes, socks, hats, and more. Have your tailgate ready with MSU party supplies, car accessories, and dress your pet in green and white. We have gifts for students, grads, alumni, and fans. From Vera Bradley and Dooney and Burke to diploma frames and more. Always shop SBS for the biggest and best selection of green and white. Go green, go white, go SBS.
I'm 10 steps ahead of you. You don't hustle me. Now we're getting somewhere. You're making up a story now. I can tell. I'm like a truth machine.
Weekdays starting at 4 on Fox 47.
More fun, no filters. Modern Family Nightly.
Weeknights at 6.
When I started running for governor, I got this reaction.
And now I get this.
You're Shri.
Yes.
Shri!
The Democrat for governor.
Shri!
You know my name. I also want you to know where I stand. I stand for pre-K for all kids. Medicare for all Michiganders. I am Shri Thanedar. Democrats have a choice. A better speaker or better health care.
You guys ever seen something like this before?
I feel the earth move under my feet. I feel the earth tumbling down. I feel the earth move under my feet.
Welcome back to Press Pass here on Fox 47. It's time for Paving the Way, a new segment brought to you by McKerney Asphalt, your smart choice for all commercial and residential paving. Give Team McKerney a call at 484-3188, as I just did, and give your property a great new look. If not, it's no one's fault but your own.
If anybody know me, it can't be done. That's like pouring a gallon of lighter fluid on an open flame. Ozzy, New, where you at, New? I call you the next day. I pop my tricep. This how crazy I am. This how much I believe in God. I call Ozzy the next day. I said, New, call Steve, Ravens owner. What I tell you, I said, don't put me on IR. Coach Harbs, what I tell you? Don't put me on IR. Ravens, 2012, what I told you? I will be back. Take care of what you got to take care of, but I will be back. Man, I came back, and boy, did I come back.
That is Ray Lewis, and he was just getting warmed up. By the time he was done, he was preaching. And Canton, Ohio yesterday. Doug Warren, who impressed you most from the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2018, an event you attended just a year ago?
Jerry Kramer, long overdue. I mean, he could have been inducted 30 years ago. Finally to get in, probably the most overlooked player from the Lombardi era. He played on teams that won 5 NFL championships, 2 Super Bowls in 8 seasons, over the span of 8 seasons, and one of the players of the decade in the 1960s. And you know, for him to finally get the chance and not be posthumous like a lot of guys are at that point was really great. And you could see when the induction took place, when the president of the Hall of Fame came and talked to him last year at the Super Bowl, how relieved he was that it finally had happened.
Yeah. I loved Jerry Kramer's speech, and one of the most famous blocks in NFL history, of course, that wedge block on Jethro Pugh. Here you get a look at it in the Ice Bowl, and Bart Starr scoring on the quarterback sneak to send the Packers on to their 2nd Super Bowl. When you think about Jerry Kramer, you think about the pulling guards going out there, and I can just hear Vince Lombardi bellowing, "It's about time!" You know, the fact that his guy's in there, and now that's completion for the Green Bay Packers. Some of the other guys who got in, though, Darian, you think about Brian Dawkins, and he was so emotional. So many of these guys have had to overcome things. The perseverance theme was very strong.
Yeah, it definitely was, and it's weird. We've gotten to the point now where these are the players that people in my generation grew up watching. Brian Dawkins, Ray Lewis, obviously Randy Moss and T.O. I mean, these are the guys that we emulated, you know, when we were growing up playing. So to see these guys get in a Hall of Fame, Brian Urlacher as well, it's special. It's special for guys that are our age, that are my age, to see these guys get in the Hall of Fame, see these guys that we grew up watching for years play, and you know, to see LT, you know, LaDainian Tomlinson get in a year ago, and looking at some of the names of guys that can get in next year that probably will, Champ Bailey, Ed Reed, these guys that are probably going to be first ballots. It's pretty cool to see.
You played with a lot of passion at Michigan State. Can you imagine dealing with the fury that Ray Lewis had, that Brian Dawkins had? Some of these guys that came out, they were right on the edge.
Yeah, right on the edge. Coach Bowman at State, he has the famous saying, you got to play on the verge of a rage. That's how you got to play the game of football, especially on the defensive line, especially as a linebacker and as a strong safety, as Ray Lewis and Brian Dawkins were. But two great players, two special players. Again, you know, for a guy like myself playing linebacker, playing safety, guys I wanted to emulate. Brian Dawkins might have the best football nickname ever, Weapon X. I mean, that's a fantastic nickname as a football player. So, you know, both of them had famous entrances when they came out of the locker room onto the field. I mean, it was such a joy to watch those guys play defense. And I'm sure Doug can attest to this. When you're watching that Hall of Fame game and seeing some of the flags they're throwing at these safeties and stuff, can you imagine the amount of flags Brian Dawkins and Ray Lewis would have gotten their prime? I mean, it's pretty interesting what's going on with football now in terms of that.
Desmond, someone told me that so many guys are worthy of being in the Hall, so how do you separate them? How do you parse the differences? And the idea is, can you write the story of the game without mentioning them? I don't think you can really write the story of the last 20 years without talking about Randy Moss. Yeah, Randy Moss was probably one of my favorites to see going to the Hall of Fame, and I love what he displayed during his speech or talked about or showed, in particular his tie, for the young black men and women who have been killed by police. And then just his overall story. I mean, he came in as a young man that was sort of looked at as a thug, and he really grew over the years, not even on from a football standpoint, but just as a man. And to see that he talked about that and where he is now as a commentator and such. So I think his growth has been phenomenal, and he was obviously unbelievable on the football field. I think that's a key word, is growth. All these guys experienced that. I was sorry that Terrell Owens decided to do what he did. I don't know if he respected the game, respected the Hall, respected all the players and coaches he was with, but it's kind of like the story with Terrell Owens over the years. So there'll be another great class going in next year, and if you ever get a chance to go to the Pro Football Hall of Fame induction, you won't regret it. We'll be right back. Well, the Jungle segment, the Lions, up next.
We are so smart. Why didn't girls like us in high school? Because we were awkward and weird and couldn't play sports. Right again.
I've been cooped up in here too long. Maybe I need some fresh air.
How about this? He's a poor man's Sheldon Cooper.
Oh, Tesla.
Here we are, building our own multi-wire detector like a couple of badasses.
I know, if we were still single, we'd be tripping over all that booty.
Sheldon? Sheldon? Sheldon?
It's a back-to-back Big Bang Bonanza, now starting at 7, here on Fox 47.
Gordon Ramsay's 24 Hours to Hell and Back, Wednesday on Fox.
Working with the Ide Company, 1, is very easy to do. 2, they're very responsive to our needs. And 3, as we've grown as a company, they've listened to those needs and they've helped us plan out our future in terms of growth that needs to be done at this location.
It's just comforting to know I'm working with the Ide Company, knowing that they can accommodate our growth. In that way, they're an excellent partner.
Opportunities for retail, office, restaurant, and residential. Build the future as a member of the Ide Company family.
Sports give so many opportunities to kids. It gives them an opportunity to see where they fit within a team, persevere, understanding how to work with different personalities. Those are the lessons that will make you a successful adult. As a mom, you have to have an understanding of what concussions are.
Concussions are things that are treatable. If we take care of athletes, they will be able to develop and have a long, happy, healthy life.
Team spirit. Face paint. More cowbell. Dean Trailways Motor Coach takes care of your travel, so you can support your favorite Spartan teams and focus on the important things. Dean Trailways, your favorite ride.
Welcome back to Press Pass here on Fox 47. Time for our Law of the Jungle segment, brought to you by Retirement Protection Services and longtime area financial advisor Jack Vogler. Earn interest based on stock market performance with zero exposure to market downturns. Give Jack a call at 339-4777. That's 339-4777. I'm glad I did.
We're getting closer, I would say, to, at this stage of training camp, trying to put different parts of the game together. You know, when you kind of try to install the game, you got to break it down into different avenues, right? So, you know, first and second down is one situation, third down is another, red area, which is critically important. You'll start to get into some situational plays like 2 minute before the half in a game. And then, you know, slowly you piece that together and you get closer to playing real football, or kind of, you know, how the game would be in that sort of sense. So, you know, it starts with our fundamental technique, which we got to work on every single day. We get to work into some kind of like group work, one-on-ones, things like that, and then build into some maybe different types of drills. We're incorporating different parts of the offense or defense against each other, and then, you know, eventually into team. So we're just going to keep grinding away on that, you know, kind of mentality. That's what it will be, and we're slowly getting to the point where, you know, we got to be ready to play a game. So it's going to be coming up on us here pretty quick.
New Detroit Lions head coach Matt Patricia. Desmond Ferguson, do you sense a different level of excitement and expectation with Patriots West? And how does he change this culture of mediocrity?
Well, being a season ticket holder, I really hope he's, you know, changing the culture and everybody's excited. But whenever you have change, I think people are excited about it. Then with him coming from a winning program like the Patriots, I think a lot of people are really excited. Just hope that we don't give up as many points as Patriots did in the Super Bowl.
Doug, we have seen coaches come and we've seen coaches go in Detroit. What's different, if anything, about Matt Patricia?
Well, it's still early to say, but if he can be anywhere near what Buddy Parker was, the franchise when Parker came in was on the verge of bankruptcy literally in the late 1940s, early 1950s. If he can come in and just bring the respectability back, get this team contending year after year, not the roller coaster ride anymore, but you just know when you enter the preseason and you're talking about projections that the Lions are going to be a playoff team, that's going to be a step in the right direction. As far as players go, Taylor Decker needs to be healthy, first of all, but he needs to play like Lomas Brown. He needs to be a Pro Bowler, a guy you can count on to protect Matt Stafford. Ziggy Ansah needs to be healthy. If Ziggy Ansah can just simply be Ziggy Ansah and play like he did late last season where he had 12 sacks in the last 6 games, that will do wonders for the defense. And the newcomer, Kerryon Johnson, the SEC Offensive Player of the Year last year, if he could just be Billy Sims, that would be incredible, because if they haven't had a running game in like a decade, if they could have him come in and be a 1,000-yard rusher, the Lions would have the opportunity to return to the playoffs, and we'll see what happens from there.
Darian, Doug is talking about Buddy Parker taking over. This is 70 years ago.
Yes.
And his last season with the Lions was the year before I started watching him, so he's indeed a fossil.
Right.
Doug, when you think about, besides Matthew Stafford, taking a look at the last decade for the Lions, beginning with that 0-16 nightmare, to have the best season in a quarter century, it's not just up to one guy.
No, it's not. And you see there the roller coasters I'm talking about. 10-6 in 2011. It looked like they were turning things around, but then the front office goofed up, and Ndamukong Suh and other people are allowed to exit because they don't have the cap in order. So you're back to square one with the defense, 11-5 in 2014-15. But again, that was the last year that Suh was there when that defense was championship caliber. But since then, they've been trying to rebuild that defense, which I think is the weakest part of the team right now. And so you're treading water at 9-7 the last 2 years. Can they take that next step in a division with Green Bay and with the Minnesota Vikings? That's the big question, and it is a big question because the other 2 teams are better than the Lions are right now, historically.
3 winning seasons, Darian, in the last 4 years under Jim Caldwell, but fact remains they have 1 playoff win in the last 61 years. When you think about the best teams in the NFL, they are almost unbeatable at home. When you think about the Lions games at Ford Field this year, what do you think might be the signature win, the win that Matt Patricia is going to point to and say, we can build on this?
Well, I think it has to be a division game, and I would have liked it to be the Minnesota Vikings, but they don't play them at home until, towards the end of the season. I mean, basically week 15. So by then, your season's pretty much defined by then. So, you look at a team like the Patriots coming in, and you think about Matt Patricia playing against their own team, old team, but that's an intra-conference game. That also doesn't really have any implications on making it to the playoffs. So I'm looking at that first game when the Green Bay Packers come to town, when when Aaron Rodgers comes to town. And if you get that game at home, you get a division game at home, Matt Patricia will be able to point to this game and say, hey, we understand the importance of our division games. We understand the importance of winning those. Maybe they can propel them to a win against Minnesota towards the end of the year at home, because as we know, you see your divisional opponents 2 times a year. That's how you get into the playoffs. That's essentially, especially the NFC. I mean, you look at 9-7, 9-7. That's not going to get it done in the NFC. You got to win your division to have a good chance.
It's amazing what leadership can do. Player leadership, coach leadership. And think back, there was a time not that long ago, our good friend Drew Sharp used to say that Michigan State, the JV Lions, they would find a way to lose it. Under Mark D'Antonio, that's changed. Maybe Matt Patricia can do the same thing. When we get back, we'll have our Take It to the Bank segment brought to you by Dart Bank. All of our guarantees up next.
A lot of people have been fighting this fight for a long time, and now it's our turn.
The X-Men chose us.
We fight for each other. We take care of each other.
Hear about Andrew and Lauren.
They're my children. You can't just cart them off.
Sentinel Services does not negotiate with terrorists. This time they're ours. And you're getting picked off one by one. There is nothing more important to me than my family. We have to go now.
You've always said that there are things worth fighting for.
If mutants are going to survive, it's up to us.
Time to go, boys and girls. The fun's just starting.
Jamie Foxx hosts the hit music game show Beat Shazam, all new Tuesdays on Fox.
There's nothing like a road trip for making memories with family and friends.
And we want to help you make those memories with a new Graf Chevrolet. During the Graf Road Trip Sales Event, you'll save thousands of dollars
on a Chevy car or truck of your choice.
Right now, Graf Okemos will give you $2,000 more than the appraised value of your trade. Get a new Silverado, only $143 a month, or a new Malibu at Graf Okemos, just $138 a month.
Start your summer adventure in a new Graf Chevrolet
during Graf's Road Trip Sales Event
at a Graf dealership near you.
What's really important to me is being able to have a partner, and Dart Bank has been that for me. I'm Eric Nelson. I'm a managing partner here at the English Inn. I've worked with John Morris at Dart Bank to help put together multiple projects that have assisted us with growing our business and continuing to be successful.
The Student Bookstores are Green and White Shop headquarters. Outfit your entire family with Spartan gear. We have a large selection of men's, women's, and children's clothing. Show off your Michigan State pride with new shoes, socks, hats, and more. Have your tailgate ready with MSU party supplies, car accessories, and dress your pet in green and white. We have gifts for students, grads, alumni, and fans. From Vera Bradley and Dooney and Burke to diploma frames and more. Always shop SBS for the biggest and best selection of green and white. Go green, go white, go SBS.
Welcome back to Press Pass here on Fox 47. Time for our Take It to the Bank segment, brought to you by Dart Bank, dedicated to meeting the needs of our banking community for more than 90 years, with 4 convenient locations in Mason, Holton, South Lansing, Grand Ledge, and the expanded Home Loan Center in Frandor. That's Dart Bank for what matters most. Here you see Lamar Jackson and Doug Warren's guy. We talked about the quarterbacks who were going to go in round 1, and Doug was saying this is the one he would want. He didn't have a great game throwing the ball, but he showed enough. And what a nightmare for defenses, the fact that he can use his tremendous speed and quickness. And he uses the run to allow him to find time to throw. Some guys just take off as soon as they get the ball and looking to run first. And I think Lamar Jackson's going to be a little bit different that way. All right, Team 254. Time for our guarantees. What can we take to the bank? We are less than 3 weeks from the start of high school football games, a month from college football, and 5 weeks from the start of the National Football League. Darian Harris, what can you guarantee about the Big Ten this season and about college football in general?
Well, guaranteed about the Big Ten, and also a surprise team in the Big Ten kind of goes hand in hand. I'm going to take it to the bank that the West race to get to Indy is going to come down to the end of the season. It comes down to a two-team race, I believe, between Wisconsin and Northwestern. I really like, and then Northwestern will be my surprise team in the Big Ten. They have most experienced
Tom Crawford.
quarterback coming back, great middle linebacker in Fisher. So they have everything in place. Pat Fitzgerald is a phenomenal coach, and I think everybody always looks at Wisconsin as the team that's always going to make it out of the West. But I think Northwestern is going to surprise a lot of people this year.
Northwestern. Okay, Doug. Mark it down.
All right, we'll do that.
A lot of people are saying Wisconsin's going to win the Big Ten championship. Not according to Darian. All right, Desmond, what can we bank on with high school football? We've had league realignments, got a lot of new coaches. What's it going to look like in mid-Michigan?
We can bank on, we don't know who's playing in what conference and who's coaching who. Well, I pay attention, obviously, to the Lansing schools or the ones that's close to the Moneyball store.
Right.
So Sexton hasn't changed. Dan Bogan no longer the coach over there.
Right.
Everett, my alma mater, Mike Smith come in as the AD and the head coach. So got new coaches there.
A lot of experience there.
Waverly High School, new coach. So it's going to be interesting to see how these new coaches are able to keep up the success a la what Sexton had or be able to turn the programs around at Everett and at Waverly. So I'm interested in seeing those things happen.
Doug, we had a lot of fun Thursday out at Fabiano's Pizzeria, Westphalia. We had our annual prep football preview show, and we had a lot of coaches come out there. We had star players. So looking forward to that, and it's be here before you know it.
Absolutely. It's going to be a lot of fun. And, the great thing about football is that it brings communities together. We saw that this past Thursday at Westphalia when it seemed like everybody from the Tri-County area came out there. All those small towns, they come out and they empty the towns out and go to the football stadiums.
A lot of people from Okemos came all the way out to Westphalia.
Absolutely. So it's one of those great things that is part of the Mid-Michigan community, and this time of year is wonderful because we get to dive back into prep sports.
All right, Doug, what can we take to the bank about pro football with 32 optimistic fan bases and 32 unbeaten teams?
Yeah, I think my guarantee is that the Los Angeles Rams will be the best team in the NFC. They're going to go to the Super Bowl this year. They've spent a ton of money. They've managed their cap properly. So this offseason, they've got Akeem Talib and Ndamukong Suh.
Yeah.
They still have cap space available, but they're going all in right now with Jared Goff and Todd Gurley and company. They still need to sign Aaron Donald, which I think will get done. But that's the team to beat. They were really good last year, and I think they're going to surge to the NFC Championship this year. The other thing is the Cleveland Browns on the other end of the spectrum. 0-16 last year. I think with Baker Mayfield in the fold, they're going to win 7 games this season, and where they go from there, we'll have to see. But I think they're going to have a big rebound this season in Cleveland.
Philadelphia Eagles and Carson Wentz say not so fast. We're not giving up our championship this early. We'll be right back with our Culver's Weekly Awards.
Hello, my name is Dr. John Braccio, psychologist. If you or your child have problems with focus, inattention, sitting still, memory, concentration, these are traits of ADHD. Visit us at drjohnb.com.
The Ticket Machine is your local connection to concert, theater, and sporting event tickets nationwide. Our entertainment experts are ready to help you create a memorable experience, trusted by fans for more than 20 years. Whether you're looking for tickets for your corporate outing, family excursion, or vacation, we offer the best seats and the best prices. Grab a front row seat now on theticketmachine.com.
When the celebrities come, there's people singing and dancing. We're gonna have Smokey Robinson stop by. We got Bell Biv DeVoe, Demi Lovato, Genuine stopped by, Michael Bolton came by. Lance Bass in the building right now! Man, give it up for Shaq, man. What's up, everybody? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Beaches M is always star-studded because there's always big performers, big names that want to come by and be with Jamie Foxx.
I don't know anybody cool, and so my dad is like calling people, harassing people, stalking people to get them to come on the show. He's like in charge of that.
Tim Allen's back and all new Last Man Standing, Fridays this fall on Fox.
Fox47News.com presents My Summer, your first stop in planning a great time in a great state, Michigan. From hotspots across the state to tips for a perfect barbecue, you'll find it at Fox47News.com's My Summer.
We are celebrating your top 10 live.
It's now in the hands of America.
Top 10, that's incredible.
incredible.
Nominated for 5 Emmys, So You Think You Can Dance, all new Monday on Fox.
Welcome back to Press Pass here on Fox 47. Time for our Cool and Smooth segment, brought to you by the 5 Culver's locations in mid-Michigan. Since 1984, Culver's has been delighting guests one meal at a time with scrumptious butter burgers and premium frozen custard. That's Culver's. Welcome to delicious. You see a familiar face. That is Justin Verlander, now with the Houston Astros, and he had the Dodgers swinging and missing and frozen and tying a career high with 14 strikeouts Friday night. And he's not the best pitcher in the American League right now. I'd like to see who is. It's funny, you have Max Scherzer, former Tiger, Justin Verlander, former Tiger. All right, Team 254, who has been as cool and smooth as a Culver's mint explosion this week? Doug Warren, let's start with you and our play of the week.
Yeah, we're going to go into the press box this week for the play of the week. Brett McMurphy, a guy who had been fired by ESPN, kind of cast off. People kind of started to forget about him. He uses the power of Facebook to report on this Courtney Smith, Zach Smith story down at Ohio State. And because of his reporting and his skills developed over the years, he has Urban Meyer, one of the greatest coaches of this generation in college football, on the verge of losing his job. And simply doing it by telling the story with sources, no unnamed sources, all legitimate, all doctored, and documented on his website and on Facebook. And now it's an amazing thing, and hopefully he gets a big-time job again because of it.
And Urban Meyer trying to assassinate the messenger in Chicago, trust me, that never works, okay? In this day and age, that's good luck with that one. Darian Harris, what about our game of the week?
Game of the week, I'm going to go with the Hall of Fame game, simply because it means that football is on the horizon. And, you know, got to be honest, you know, I wasn't really big on following too much of the NFL last year. In terms of watching the games, obviously you follow, you know what's going on. But there's been a lot of things going on at the NFL that are happening with stuff outside of what's going on the field. I think there's a lot of cool storylines going into the season about stuff on the field. You know, you look at a guy like Lamar Jackson, him getting an opportunity to step on the field as an NFL quarterback. Obviously what's going on in Cleveland, like Doug mentioned earlier, with Baker Mayfield. I think it was a really good draft class. I think we got a lot of exciting things going on. I'm excited to see the Eagles and what they're going to do this year, the Rams and teams of that nature. So I am going to try to at least try to get excited to watch the NFL season. And as much as I am a supporter of everything that goes on off the field, I'm also interested to see what happens on the field as well this year. Very well said. You know, I think that NFL time, Doug, every year it's like renewal, not urban renewal. That's in Columbus. That's something else. Right. Desmond, what about our team of the week?
Team of the week, you know, I got to go with the Moneyball Pro-Am, number 3 seed, team definition, upsetting Team Splatter to win the 2018 Moneyball Pro-Am Championship. And I got to squeeze a second team in there. We had our 3rd annual golf outing. There you go. And the Senior Citizens Pencil Whippers won. Pencil Whippers won the game. Yep. So those are my teams of the week.
Fantastic. You know, no one expected the result they got in the final, but a lot of people who turned out for that game and all the other games, tremendous attendance again, and people are excited about that. For our player of the week, so many ways we could go. You saw Justin Verlander, and he seems to be getting better with age at age 35. All of the Pro Football Hall of Fame inductees, but Jerry Kramer coming out there with his daughter, I thought that was tremendous. I'm going to go with Aaron Henry, and the reason I'm going to do this is the way that he performed. He wasn't trying to own the game, to be the game. He was trying to help his team win, the way he handled it afterward. He stood around, he signed every autograph, took every picture, especially the picture he posed with his team. He was just another guy. So congratulations to him, and look forward to big things from him at Michigan State. Want to thank our panel, Team 254, Darian Harris. And Darian, you've got a BTN Live gig coming up, right?
Yep, August 14th, BTN Tour, so looking forward to getting back in and share with those guys over at Big Ten Network. Moneyball is in the building.
Yep.
Desmond Ferguson.
Moneyball 3-on-3 basketball tournament this weekend at Lansing Mall.
And Doug Warren, we're on our way to Chicago. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great week.
When I started running for governor, I got this reaction. And now I get this.
You're Shri.
Yes.
Shri!
The Democrat for governor.
Shri! You know my name. I also want you to know where I stand. I stand for pre-K for all kids, Medicare for all Michiganders. I am Shri Thanedar. Democrats have a choice, a better speaker or better health care.
Find out what it takes to be an NFL cheerleader. Watch Making the Team, the Detroit Lions Cheerleaders, Thursday night at 11 on Fox 47.